Florida is the final stop on the DSA summer tour of domination, where progressive Oliver Larkin is taking on one of the most conservative Democrats in the House right now, Jared Moskowitz, in the Democratic primary. And Larkin is going all in on this final weekend push before Election Day tomorrow. And speaking of that, on Election Day, Tuesday, August 18th, we will be live streaming coverage of the primary here on USDS after polls close. We've done a couple of them in the past. They've been a ton of fun, so be sure to join us. It's going to be a blast. Okay, so this first interview was on a local Florida TV station where the host right here has some interesting takes, to say the least. Let's take a look.
Israel is committing a genocide in
That's
Gaza.
incorrect. That is factually incorrect.
It has
That's
been regarded
propaganda.
by the United Nations and Amnesty International and even Israeli human rights organizations, including B'Tselem. There's
The
a number
definition of genocide in the UN has said this, does not apply to what many people might think as a disproportionate wartime action. That's what that is in many people's minds. Genocide is a very specific thing, actually genocide being committed against Jewish people, not by Israel. And that's just a fact.
I mean, the United Nations recently in Geneva found that the IDF had deliberately targeted women and children. There's been famine conditions imposed over the Gaza Strip by the blockading of aid entering the Strip. There's been indiscriminate bombing of hospitals, of mosques, of churches.
Again, I'm going to have to stop you, as that is factually not correct.
Actually, I'm going to have to stop you right there and say that is actually factually 110% correct, because all of that is happening and has happened for the past few years, as Israel has actually committed a genocide against the Palestinian population in Gaza. So this TV host right here is being so patronizing. It's like absolutely absurd. Like what is she even on about here? But let's continue.
But I hear you talking about something very important to a lot of people, and certainly who think that way.
Oh my God.
But
There's certainly who, you know what? I'm sorry that you have a problem with the situation.
as a congressman, and I'm being told we have to wrap, but as a congressman for District 25, I'm hoping your viewers will be able to hear you flesh that out a little more, as well as the Medicare for All and universal education. And we'll see you on the other side of Tuesday. Thank you so much for coming in.
So that's the end of the interview right here. And I think it is so absurd. And she even mentions it here at the end, where they don't even really get to discuss the topic as much, as well as other policies of his, like Medicare for All, child care, education, transportation, immigration, because they spend so much time. This is a clip that Oliver Larkin himself posted, right? Because he talks about how, whether it's on Fox News or local TV, I'll never shy away from telling the truth. Israel is committing genocide. 100% correct. But in this situation right here, they don't even get the opportunity to talk about anything else, because this is a short clip out of a longer segment that they just focus on his policy, his foreign policy towards Israel, right? That's it. That's all she focuses on. And this same TV anchor right here sings a very different tune when she's talking to, wouldn't you know it, Jared Moskowitz, his main opponent. Let's take a look what she has to say with him.
You know, in Congress, the support for Israel is not 100% universal, but almost universal, bipartisan, bicameral. And yet, we are watching in the Biden administration as well.
Just for context, this was 2 years ago. Just letting you know that.
We're watching as the air offensive
She mentioned Biden, you're like, huh?
continues, and the images of what the Gazan civilians are enduring there. You hear the narrative nationwide begin to erode in that support. I know you and your colleagues are
way less confrontational, way less actually like giving context to a situation, but she's talking about it from the attitude of how can we get people to actually keep supporting Israel even though they're seeing these horrific things every single day on their cell phones. That is exactly what she's talking about here in these moments, because she actually agrees with Jared Moskowitz's position here, and she's talking about, well, okay, these terrible things are happening and Congress is mostly in support of Israel. Not anymore, by the way. Over 100 Democrats have voted to actually defund not giving funds to Israel anymore. So that position's clearly changed, thank God. But what's interesting about this and this whole interaction that Oliver Larkin had here is it really showcases his strengths. And I think Oliver Larkin is phenomenal at actually going on places and interviewing people and going on these interviews with people who are oppositional to his worldview, because he's great at deflecting their situations. Like this moment that happened on Fox News over the weekend where he had this whole panel melting down by the end of it. So let's watch the beginning here, and then we're going to jump to the end to just see the difference of the tones. Let's take a look.
Florida Democrat congressional candidate Oliver Larkin. So, Oliver, listen, we appreciate you coming on the show. You know, it takes some guts to do so. So I want to say thank you and a lot of respect to you for doing it. You know, I've done a little bit of research.
You know, she's good. She's respectful of them. Takes her time.
into
Just
your
remember that for
district
later.
there, and aside from all the things that are making headlines with you and, of course, the incumbent in the race, I just have to ask, my mother-in-law fled Cuba because of the socialist communist takeover. So I know in your district there's a lot of folks like my mother-in-law, a lot of Cubans, a lot of Venezuelans that left socialism, that fled communism, and it kind of sounds like you want to bring it all right here to the USA and to Florida. How do you square that with a lot of those constituents in Florida that have a similar story?
I think what a lot of our constituents that have come from places like Cuba or Nicaragua or Venezuela that have seen United States foreign policy, we've had a blockade on Cuba and a trade embargo for 70, 80 years nearly.
Boom, immediately flips the conversation. She goes, well, you're bringing communism and socialism to America. You're actually an evil Cuban communist spy. And he goes, well, what a lot of people are seeing right now is the Trump administration continuing the violent blockade of resources to a population of millions of people that is right next to could be one of our strongest trade partners. And yet we are treating them like utter garbage, completely flipping the situation, actually getting people to think about what Donald Trump is doing and the vile nature of the Republican Party versus all of this, I don't even know, shit slinging coming from the right towards the left. He just does a brilliant
And what
job
we've
of it.
seen in that time is the repression of trade and of really with our closest trade partner. And we see a repression of political and civil rights that we actually see emanating from the Trump administration right now.
Bingo, right? Immediately. It's such a great response. So remember the amount of time that they took with that question and everything like that. And let's go to this moment right here. I have it pinged right here at the 10:20-ish mark. Let's take a look at how the interview has changed.
Federal income taxes to be paying.
I don't expect we're going to see much more immigration from Mexico when
you think they will
Mexico's President
stop?
Claudia
Hold on.
Sheinbaum
Why
is
would they stop
raising the
if they
minimum
can become
wage and
citizens?
increasing home ownership.
Immediately talking over
But
them.
you think
Because they're
Mexico is
investing more in
better
their
than
people
America?
than we are here.
You think life in Mexico is so good that Mexicans are going to stop coming here?
What I'm saying is that there are governments outside of the United States that are investing in their people.
Wait,
I
then why
believe
are
that
they
we
coming
need secure
here,
borders,
Oliver?
that we have safe immigration.
Oliver,
because Donald
if
Trump
they're
and the
doing
Republican
such a
Party
good
is
job in those
destabilizing many of
countries,
these
why are they
countries.
coming here? I don't understand your argument. Do you think Cuba has more civil rights than the United States? Why are people getting on floating
It's just so
rafts?
they immediately just like devolve into Cuba bad, this country bad, this is bad. They're all coming here, and that's actually, but that's a bad thing. But America's great, but they're coming here, but it's a bad thing, and you love communism. It's like, it's so
and
tired.
risking their lives to get here if those countries are so well run.
Because Donald Trump has the Navy blockading the island
Oh,
of Cuba
come
from
on.
That
even
doesn't
obtaining
even
oil.
logically make
So
sense. It just means that people are even more
material
willing to
reality
risk
that
their
we're talking
lives.
about here.
Oh my
And
God. Move to Cuba then. That's like the biggest fucking, I hate that. I hate it so much. When people criticize America, it's like, okay, well then leave. No, we should make it better. You freak. What's wrong with you?
Of course, what we need in the United States is for Donald Trump and this administration, the Department of Homeland Security,
Oliver,
to stop
I think you
taking
should
away
move to
people's legal
Cuba
status,
and run for
like with
president
temporary
there and
protected
see how your
status,
campaign
where we
goes,
have
because you
half
might
of
be
the
more
nation's
welcome there.
TPS holders from.
And it just, exactly, right? They just get so pissed off at him. It's absolutely absurd. And this is like the final push. This video is going super viral. So is this one. He is getting his name out there by going on these oppositional networks, right? Framing his narrative, actually going up against people who disagree with him and getting these moments right here where he just makes them melt down by actually always centering on the issues at hand. And that is why Oliver Larkin is such a badass, and he is running for Florida tomorrow. And if you want to see more DSA-backed candidates like Oliver Larkin in Congress, be sure you subscribe to US Democratic Socialists for more news like this. And don't forget, we are doing a live stream tomorrow, Tuesday, August 18th, right around when polls close in Florida to cover this exact election. So be sure to join us for that. But without further ado, I think I'm going to end it here. I'm Iago Lashua. Have a good day. Goodbye.